Hello and welcome. I think has now actually arriving, which essentially just comes out a day at a time over the course of this week.
Yeah.
What we're here to talk about is Chaos Space Marines. We got a brand new book. We got a brand new set of secondaries, brand new set of points, a whole new meta. I figure a few people are going to need some help getting started on what to do.
I'm particularly excited to talk about secondaries. I think CSM secondaries are going to be a big thing for us to figure out.
I agree. Actually, the only thing I did to prepare for this was to read through the secondaries and understand all of them except for the Iron Warriors one. Don't take that one.
What you do with the Iron Warriors one is you take it, and then you hand it to your opponent so they can read it, and then you hit the clock to them.
Yeah.
And that's about as much advantage as you can hope to get from that secondary.
I legitimately was not able to figure out where they could put the markers.
Yeah.
And I eventually just like, obviously this isn't a thing. At least I decided that because I don't want to do it.
Yeah. It depends entirely on how many buildings there are on the table, you know?
Not ruins.
Oh, no.
They used to be
Buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's actually. I think this is a great place to start. Anthony, you've been diving deep. What do you think out of those secondaries? What sticks out to you? What's the big boys?
So today, I learned that the one called Preparation Shining Through Powerfully here, that I don't remember the name off the top of my head, because they all involve the Dark Gods in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So my favorite one,
My
flavor-wise, or my favorite one in-game?
The one you think is going to be used
Usable.
regularly. What's your take?
Okay.
Your first take.
So my first take in most games will actually be for the Dark Gods, which reads like a meme. Because I don't know if you can see this from over there. That's a whole lot of words.
It's one whole half a page.
Yeah. To say, do an action in the middle of a table quarter, get a couple points. And then, if you dedicate it to the right god, get 2 leadership. It's pretty good. It actually surprised the hell out of me in the game we played. It just was like, oh, I accidentally scored 9.
Yeah, that was great. We were both like, we don't know what to take for a third thing here. Let's both take this. And we're like, oh, shit, this is just points.
Yeah.
It's easy.
You barely left your table half and got 4.
Yeah.
Just like, boop, easy.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I just moved my guys on the first turn and now I have points. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So, I think that one's great. Zach, have you seen anything in there that you think is sticking out to you?
I think that one's good. I think in a lot of matchups, I mean, if you're on the gas and you're on your opponent, I think that'll be easy to do and that'll be great. And they maintained the Long War one they had before, correct?
Yeah.
That's still in there. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to use that in many games. It reads like this could be good, but I think it's the kind of thing you think is good, and then you try it, and you're like, oh, this didn't work.
I believe my scores on it so far are something like 2, 4, and 1.
Right, because either you can't get it or you killed all of
Oh
them.
no,
and
your
you're not
opponent.
holding anything.
Your opponent goes, "Oh, that's what you're doing? Okay, I'll stay on my 2 objectives with my backfield, which you will never get me off of."
Yeah.
Well,
Cool story.
I mean, maybe
well,
someday.
someday, but it's going to be a long time, and it's capped at 3, which I think is the big thing.
yeah, that's why it's called the Long War, bro.
If you could get those points all at once,
Yeah.
then I think you'd be in a whole different world.
What was the third one? I remember reading the other one and being like,
Oh, the Rise to Glory. Tell us the story. Here,
Okay.
I'm just going to hand you this.
Yeah.
You tell a story.
So
of Rise
so
to Glory.
so Rise to Glory for my list specifically, and how most people should build Chaos lists. You're not here for your units, you're here for your characters. You know what's up. So Rise to Glory is in the Assassinate category, or the Bring It Down category. And it says, at the end of the battle round, score 2 victory points for each character, monster, or vehicle model destroyed in this battle round by a melee attack made by a traitorous Astartes character model from your army. If such a model had a wins characteristic from 10 to 19, get an additional point, or 2 additional points if it had 20 or more, or it was the enemy warlord. You can get up to 5 victory points per round from this. Additionally, if each time a character, monster, or vehicle is destroyed by a melee attack made by your traitorous Astartes character model, roll 2d6. If the result is less than the wounds characteristic of the destroyed model, gain a command point at the end of the phase. That shit was pretty good when we played.
Tell the story of Abaddon. What did Abaddon do?
So, Abaddon, in the wanton slaughter,
Yep.
with no like rerolls to wound against a toughness line Land Raider
With -1 to wound.
with -1 to wound, did 15 damage to it,
Yeah.
and then proceeded to pick up 5 points and a command point, or
Yeah.
4 points and a command point.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
And he'd also killed 2
Characters,
support characters on his way.
including your Warlord.
Yeah. He's just like, oh, just look at these points.
Yeah, look at that. Wow, that's so great. He found them on the ground next to their body.
I think the best part of that is the other damage that had been done to the Land Raider was Abaddon just shooting his.
Oh, yes, the rest of the 4 damage that had been
Yeah.
done to it was actually just Abaddon's bolter.
He's like, oh, I'm going to only get a 15 swing, so I'm going to do a little extra.
Yeah, we'll just make sure on the way in.
I think what's really interesting about that secondary is, in list construction, people try and build lists that don't give up Bring It Down and don't give up Assassinate. But a lot of lists have a little bit of each that you couldn't take either of those for, and this secondary lets you actually get points out of them when otherwise it would be totally impractical.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's a good spice to be in. And then let's kind of go through. You brought it up, so I'm going to ask it. What's your favorite flavor?
So my favorite one flavor-wise, and this is...
It's the same answer as me. I think we talked about this.
Is it Emperor's Children?
Oh, it is not. Thank God.
Okay, cool. Because the Emperor's Children one is hilarious. Because the Emperor's Children one is literally, I'm better than you. So it's, at the end of the battle round, score 1 victory point for each of the following conditions you satisfy. You control more objective markers than your opponent. Remember when that used to just give you 3? That was pretty wild for a while.
That was okay. I don't know if people really
Yeah,
knew it.
yeah.
Nobody took it.
So that now gives you 1, but that's pretty cool off the rip. And then you get more enemy units were destroyed by ranged attacks made by Emperor's Children units, then vice versa. That one's so many words just to say that.
Yeah.
If you kill more in shooting than they do, get a point. If you kill more in melee than they do, get a point. And then if your characters kill more of their characters than vice versa, get a point. Up to 4 per battle. Off to, yeah, 4 per battle round. So,
I think there's something really important about that, though.
yep.
That is Emperor's Children locked. So Abaddon's not bringing you any points. If you're bringing triple War Dog Executioners, those aren't going to give you points. But I don't necessarily think.
There's a clause in this
That's
that
a no.
makes just no sense.
Oh, good.
So, okay, never mind. It says if all 4 apply, you actually get an additional victory point.
Oh, so there's a bonus
says-
for doing it all.
Yeah, it says up to a maximum
If-
of 5, but I was like, why is there a maximum of 5 if you literally can't? But
If you shoot and kill more than they do, fight more than they do, take more than they do, and what's the other one?
kill more of their characters than
Kill more of
with
their
your
characters
than
in the same battle round. They give you a victory point.
Yeah.
Well, that's very kind of them.
Yeah, I mean it is that's just an Emperor's Children battle round,
No,
Chuck.
it absolutely feels like that. I will go next on that.
Yes.
I think Red Corsairs, which I'm not going to read out as nicely as you did.
Well, it's a million words, so
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But
As
if we're-
are almost all of these.
A Red Corsairs infantry or biker unit runs up, goes to an objective, does an action on that objective, gets you 2 victory points. But then that unit becomes a victory point, and it runs away with it, and it takes off with your treasure. And if you don't kill it by the end of the game, I get a point. They literally steal pieces of the objectives and run off with them. Couldn't be more on point for this.
Yep.
So my favorite of these, I'm not going to claim it's really good. I like the Alpha Legion one. So it's basically you go up, you do an action on an objective, and then your opponent can't do anything on that objective anymore. Can't even hold it. You do, however, have to survive on that objective for a turn, which is a little hard to do.
It's also a chaos rule, so isn't there like 5 modifiers of 4-ups and nonsense to make sure that that actually works?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, the cut is this thing doesn't work.
Cultist or
Yeah.
It's not like it's really impractical. I'm not saying it's good. It's just cool.
It sure
I
is
would
funny.
I would love to complete this action one day and be like, you can't do your home objective anymore.
Yeah.
Right,
What's up?
What now? What you got?
It's however possible. You will go through all the steps, keep a unit alive there, and then just roll a 1. And turns out that was all for naught. Thanks for the.
I highly recommend summoning Zeech Herald first, so you can get the reroll die that they haven't fixed yet. That's what that's about. So that's a whole bunch, and I think that's really important. What we're seeing here, and what I'm hot taking from this weekend is secondaries make an army now. Like you should. Yeah, let's not. They're almost chaos, but they haven't made the choice yet. So. But like secondaries are super important, and I think we have a lot of play in the secondary space. We're also pretty good at some of the basic ones. Like if they got Bring It Down or Assassinate, we can get in there. We can kill some stuff. We could, yeah. It's just there's a ton to do there. So we have secondary game. That's good news.
You have a lot of just like idiot units to do actions. So you end up with the like banners and stuff. It's like super easy because you're like, yeah, this guy will just go over there and do that.
We're essentially forced to take 3 units of cultists. Like,
Right.
do something.
Well, 2 units of cultists if you're Emperor's Children.
Oh.
You have something that can go in that other slot fairly efficiently, actually. That fills what is otherwise a bit of a hole in space in CSM is shooting. As we learned today, the ever lovely obliterators.
Oh god. Nick was right. He's still right.
Nick, look at me. Nick was not right, but about this specific thing, Nick was close to right. This is important for the purpose of the internet.
I feel like I have to say this because I am probably in the top 5 most obliterator pro people.
Yeah.
Like, I want that. I want it to be true. I try every time they bring them out, and I think they're actually worse than they used to be.
I said that earlier.
Like,
Well, it used to be sometimes you would shoot them at something and it would just disappear. Now it wasn't consistent, so it was bad. Now you shoot them at something and you know it's not going to disappear.
it's
Well, that's good. It is consistent.
It's true. It's true.
We got rid of the inconsistency. Now we get consistency. Now we just a couple more iterations of good, and we'll get there. I think they would, like, from where I am right now, they're at 90 points apiece. I would never take a unit of less than 3 of them, which is the whole squad. You'd have to drop that like 60 points
Under 200?
before it. I think 200 or low 200s is fine.
I think
but-
if they were literally half the cost, I would still only consider them.
right, like, it's bad.
Yeah, that's
It's not where you want to be.
It's not good.
They have to get cheap enough that the shooting is worthwhile enough that your opponent will then shoot at them, because the true power of them is they are not going away.
Do you want to tell the?
Oh, do I? Okay. So in one of our games today with Andy and I dropped the obliterators in. I did not spend a CP to drop them in a turn early. I waited, and boy, am I glad I didn't waste a CP on that. They landed and they shot the Las-Kajan version of their gun. They actually. It's 2. No, it's D3 each, right?
Sure is.
Basically
It's
2.
not fixed.
Yeah. So I got, like, I think it was 5. I don't think I ever rolled even average.
Yeah.
Because that's just how it works. But I shot into his Lord Discordant. I put a lot of work in there. I put some effort in. 5 shots, 3 hits, 2 wounds. And he's just like, what if I just do these 2 saves? Because your AP still sucks.
Yeah.
They got 4 ups.
Yep.
Because
sure
armor
did.
contempt bullshit.
Yep.
And so, like, nothing. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm far enough out. I've made a screen. I get to shoot him again. This is going to be great.
Yeah. Those legionnaires gave their lives.
Yeah, they gave their lives for a round
so
of
that
obliterator
those
shooting.
can shoot again.
They are pissed about
yeah.
that.
Yeah. In the goop of the afterlife that they're probably in. Not happy.
So that with that, oh no, we didn't do anything on the first round. We've got to add a Land Raider's worth of shooting to this scenario. So we shot the Land Raider in. Same deal. You're hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. You're gonna fail a little bit here and there, and then you're shooting into armor and contempt. Yeah, 3s. Yeah, because you know you are. Anyway, a little missing here, a little missing there. Another 4-up save. He does nothing. So the Butter is like, oh, okay,
We got this.
it's
bro.
time. They shoot nothing.
Like not past saves. Like
Just
0 wounds.
they just do nothing. They're like, nah. So now that I have lured Anthony into my trap, he can't resist himself. If he sees consistent failure, he just goes.
Yeah, I must kill it.
He's got a weakness as a player. I really recommend taking advantage of this in tournament scenarios. He comes into those Legionnaires, and I don't know if this needs to be said, but a Lord Discordant does kill. We figured out about 10.
I think it was by the end of it was like 12.
Yeah, they
Actually,
kill
no,
a lot of Legionnaires.
I killed 10 with no wound rerolls.
Right. It was, yeah, with no wound rolls, which is huge because you're built on wound rolls. We should talk about him next because
Yep.
you're going to see a lot of this guy.
Yeah, he's
Anyway,
gonna be popular.
he killed that. The Obliterator shot again.
Hear me out.
Nothing. Boom. And then they charged into combat and did like 4 damage to
4
him.
damage!
Just like, so,
We're telling me his obliterators are a melee unit.
yeah, first step, I was playing them wrong, and that's on me. The guns are not where it's at. You want to deep strike charge them.
Yeah. As it turns out, we thought they took mutilators out of the book. They didn't. They just gave them guns.
They're right here. They just have guns.
Yeah.
So,
They were right here all along.
but let's talk about that Lord Discordant.
Okay.
Here, just outline him for people.
All right. So you start with a Lord Discordant who has now 9 wounds. That shit, really awesome. So, you start with the relic specifically is really good in Emperor's Children specifically. So the relic gives you full reroll to hit, which is obviously always good. He does hit on 2s. It gives you once per game, you get an epic deed stratagem for free, which is really good in Emperor's Children because their 3-inch fight last from a character is an epic deed.
So 1 CP to get a 2 CP strat for free.
Once per game, and full reroll to hit.
And free rolls to hit.
There's another like dot point on that relic that he doesn't even use, and I still take it. So on the
To be fair, I would take him for either of those dots.
yeah,
The fact that they come together is just fun.
yes, totally free. It's actually really good on a Demon Prince for similar reasons though, because then you actually get the 3rd dot point. Which the 3rd dot point is pick a unit anywhere on the board. That unit counts as being in your Lord of Chaos aura. Pretty solid, as it turns out. Nids have to do a whole bunch of nonsense to make that happen.
Is
So
it only the Lord of Chaos aura? It's only the
yeah,
real
it's
ones?
specifically that aura.
Still, that's great.
Yep. So the so we go from that, and then we give him his Warlord trait, Flames of Spite, which is a 1 all Chaos people know, right? 6 to wound, do a mortal wound. That's really good. What if it also just made you full reroll wounds?
It's probably okay.
Yeah, it seems at minimum decent, right?
Yeah, it's 2 Warlord traits in 1.
Yeah, that's hopefully gonna get changed to something. But until then, we
Go!
yeah, it might just not, right? Hatred Eternal still exists for Drukhari, and it's been a problem the whole time. So, yeah, that Lord Discordant's a bad man. He also heals 1 wound per turn, which I forgot about in our game until like 2 turns afterwards. And then he also has a 1 CP strat that's generic that can make him -1 damage. And that is rude, because that man no longer brackets. So if he lives with from your first activation with 1 wound and you didn't fight last him, everybody else in melee is about to die. So yeah, he's really powerful. He has the vehicle keyword, and he's on kind of a big base, so he has all the caveats that go along with that. The other thing that we didn't even talk about with him is that his Bale Flamer got a pretty sweet glow up. So it is a flamer, so it gets 2 extra shots from Let the Galaxy Burn. And now instead of it being D6 shots, it's 2D3. So you're shooting 2D3 plus 2, strength 6, -2, 2 damage shots with your flamer that auto hits on your screenable character at 18-inch range. That's pretty good shooting for a guy you're never going to shoot back.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think also, let's talk through it. I've actually forgotten this, but how many attacks is he? Is he doing 6 attacks?
So he has 6 with his Chain Glaive.
Yeah, 6 with his Chain Glaive, 4 with his Mega Tendrils, and
4 with his
4
dude.
and 4 with his dude. So that is 14 attacks.
Yep.
Now, if you're in Wanton Slaughter, that 14 attacks is probably more like 16.
More like 18.
18?
Right? Yeah.
Like it's,
You have rerolls, so
Yeah,
it's-
yeah.
rerolls.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the rerolls. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. And then you come into wounding, and you roll those. You're going to get 3 mortal wounds, and you're going to reroll quite a bit of that. So you're talking about probably 5 mortal wounds. Plus, the Mecha Tendrils kind of suck. But
Unless
the
you're a
rest
vehicle.
of that,
Hey, the Mecha Tendrils do mortal wounds, so
yeah,
Unless you're a vehicle, then the Mecha Tendrils are damaged too.
great.
that's not
Yeah.
nice.
And so you do all that. And then all the rest of that is a bunch of really decent AP2, JP3, 2 damage hitting.
Yep.
So that guy is picking up a bunch of stuff and then also being like, oh, hey, I forgot. I found these 5 mortal wounds for you. Please enjoy.
Yeah. At
He-
the tail end.
So far, I think in all of our experiences, he doesn't not pick up whatever he touches.
Yep, I've killed everything I've connected with.
Yeah, so have I.
Yeah.
And I'm not even playing your version. I just have the Flames of Spite on him,
Right.
full stop.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
he's doing just fine.
Yeah, I think in our game he failed to kill the possessed that he couldn't reroll to wound against by like 1 wound.
Right. Oh, I also -1 damaged you, which is huge.
Right. So
Like, that's a lot.
yeah.
But yeah, he is a monster, and you will definitely see him. The other way to tech him out, which we tried, I think, in our game, is we put the Slanesh demon weapons on him, so he gets a D3 extra attacks with the glaive and D3 extra attacks with his mount.
I don't think
Is the mount not technically a weapon?
no, it's set, there's like a very specific clause in demon weapons that say the bladed limbs and tail cannot be replaced with a demon weapon.
Oh, well, then we won't do that, but it could be his Mecha Tendrils.
Yeah, that's true.
Right,
It's also
like-
really good on that specific Slanesh demon weapon is amazing on a demon prince.
Yeah, we tried Demon Prince with
Yeah.
the Flames of Spite, and it
Okay.
also wrecks. So really,
Sword in the claw.
yeah,
Yeah, because you have 2 attacks. Or
Like-
2 sources.
he goes right through Lucius in one half of an attempt.
Because Lucius is a punk.
Hey, was this guy important to you?
Yeah.
None of that. So that, like, all of those things. In fact, I think the demon weapons plus the flames of war is actually too much. There isn't a target where you need that, so you're expending CP that you may not need.
Yeah, and a lot of the times you're actually better off using that CP for the litany of amazing stratagems that exist in this book. Most of them, ironically, are Legion specific. There's not actually I don't know about you guys, but I didn't see like a ton of like really powerful generic stratagems. Like most of the stuff, even in our game, right? The most of the stuff you spent CP on was like Iron Warrior stratagems.
Yeah, I think I used Iron Warrior Stratagems. I used the -1 damage.
Yep,
and I used
a whole bunch.
The -1 to wound me.
Yep.
And interrupt. I don't think I ever used anything else.
I don't even think you interrupted, right? Because you just had Marcus Slanesh, so it didn't matter.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I also wanted more CP. I wanted to do that more.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And a lot of the like things that you can do in the book are much more powerful on 5-man units. So things like 5-man possessed or 5-man chosen, when they're cheaper in CP to do those things, are really impactful.
Those 1 CP strats at that point are pretty amazing.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, especially if you're playing Emperor's Children. You have like a page of probably the best strats of any faction in the game. You're not going to have time for the generic strats.
You want your CP, but you also like want these characters who obliterate.
Yeah. A thing in our game that I think people should definitely be aware of, we talked about it a bunch during our game, is that when you have Abaddon in a Supreme Command attachment, you gain access to Black Legion stratagems. Abaddon then can change his chapter tactic. There's a lot of really impactful chapter tactics across the spread. In my game against Chuck, I cut my way through a bunch of Terminators, and then in his turn, and then proceeded to fall back and charge in my turn and go past them and go kill a bunch of his characters. And that's just like one of the things you can do. Another really obnoxious example is if you expect him to be stuck in next turn, you can spend a CP to turn him into Iron Warriors and shut off rerolls to wound against him, and then make him transhuman, which is as annoying as it sounds like it would be. If you think he's going to die, you can make him Creations of Bile, so he fights on death when he dies. If you would like to advance in charge, you turn him into Red Corsairs. There's a lot of...
I think the on-tap advance in charge is a really good thing to remind your opponent of at every waking moment during your game.
Yeah, and just never do it.
Yeah. It could happen. Back it up.
Get out of here.
Because he creates so much space. He's just like, I'm going to be here. Now, your army shouldn't be here unless you want to lose it.
Yeah.
And that's... He's a one-man army, and you should be taking advantage of that.
We mentioned a bunch of legions here, but so what do we think? Emperor's Children, obviously amazing, right? I think a big one we haven't mentioned is Word Bearers. Like, the new CSM book has a ton of data sheets that are really strong. Like, Possessed, super strong data sheet, no support. And Word Bearers just get Chapter Master rerolls and everything in the first round of combat. So your skirmishing units are just going to, they're going to kick ass. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I think that's particularly the case when you look at, when you wait until Wanton Slaughter. It's just you're kicking more 6s in, you're getting more, like, you get a lot out of that.
Yeah, Word Bearers is one of the only builds I can see not taking Abaddon. Because at some level, in Soup, Abaddon is, massive caveat here, just another combat character. And Word Bearers have the ability to engage you on every inch of the board all the time. And that is real serious. Like, I don't know how much you guys have done writing cast lists without Abaddon, because I've done almost 0. But every time I see one without Abaddon, I'm like, oh, that's actually a hilarious amount of things. Like, you get a lot of stuff. And again, if you compound that with Word Bearers and all the buffs they can give and all the different things, it's like, oh, man, this is so hard to deal with.
Yeah, I've actually been doing that a lot today, where I build a list, usually with Abaddon, and I'd be like, well, what if I took Abaddon out? And then, like, I add 2 more very impactful units and then maybe buff something up.
Yep.
On the point of Word Bearers, we talked a little bit about secondaries. I actually like theirs quite a bit.
I don't even know what the Word Bearer secondary is.
It's actually really good.
All right, you get within 6 inches of the center of the table with a Demonkin, Master Possession, or Dark Apostle, and you take an action.
Okay, so it's Renew the Oaths.
If that action is done with the Dark Apostle or the Master Possession, it ends that turn. Okay. And they're allowed to do psychic powers and not break the action.
Or you could have, yeah, right. If you don't let me earlier in the turn, I'll do it too, right?
Yeah.
How many points do you get for that?
What is it? I think it's like Psychic Ritual.
It's 2, 5, 9, 15.
Yeah.
Oh, 4 turns. That's new. Most
Yeah.
of those go 3.
What I think is really interesting about that is you can do it with the character, and it ends right away.
Yep.
So you're still doing your Dark Apostle job, you're still doing your Master Possession job, you're also doing this. The Master Possession could also be doing Psychic Ritual. He's just standing in the middle being like, I'm going to do everything your army needs to be done. Yeah. It's separate.
They are not the same category.
Not the same category.
Oh.
So that dude's just standing in the middle, and you're like, hey, I also brought all of these possessed. So like my army's not going anywhere.
With the removal of Stranglehold and most people not wanting to be in the middle, that's brutal.
Right. I think that combination.
Just wrap that man in the Terminator
Yeah.
squad.
Yeah.
That every Legion will take.
Let's talk.
It's the
Let's
same
talk.
10 Terminators in every Legion.
Let's talk about the Black Mark of Damnation.
Oh god.
God, man.
So if you got a relic that says, hey, this character and his squad are -1 to wound.
Yeah, and the first time you read that, you go, wait, and his squad.
Yeah, you immediately start flipping through the strats looking for the stratagem that gives relics to a unit, and you go, you confirm it, and then you go back and make sure you found the right name for the relic, and then you go and you check again.
Yeah.
And you're still like, oh no, I just get squads that are -1 to wound.
Yeah.
That's actually much better than a special plasma pistol.
But hear me out, Zach. What if that plasma pistol shot one more time and had an extra AP?
And it still killed you on a roll of a one.
No, you're required to roll it at
yeah.
full plasma. That's
Yeah. Well, that's like Mephiston, right? The head man of the Blood Angels. Little inaccurate today. Boom.
You know,
Yeah.
happens all the time. You have a whole closet full of Mephiston. You just pull another one out.
Yeah,
No big deal.
They just throw the other one out of Primaris storage.
So you start with that on a squad, but there's a bunch of other stuff. Like Anthony and I were very enamored with Illusionary Supplication today. This is trans hitman, so you cannot hit me on a 1, 2, or a 3. But in addition to that, just to make sure it gets home, you also cannot reroll to hit.
Yep.
Just none.
You're also -1 to wound. It's also going to be on a squad that's -1 to wound. It's like being Harlequins.
Yeah, you put those together on a unit, and what kills that effectively? Now, if that's Terminators, you have a 2-up armor contempt save.
So with just that, right? If it was just -1 to wound and just the trans hitman, plenty of stuff, right? We have lots of blendy units in this game. Perfectly acceptable.
As long as you put it out front and allow them to dump everything into it, yeah.
Yeah. Blood Angels go right through you with lightning claws, right?
Sure.
No problem.
Yeah, but what else?
Small hitch though.
What else could we do to it? Zach?
Well, you can get a 5-up feel no pain.
5-up feel no pain. That's pretty good on 3 wound models. So
Yeah.
Only T4 though.
damage 3. Yeah. What about? Can we get a better toughness?
Sure can. Master of Possession spell.
All right. So now we're T5, -1 to wound,
Which is
trans hitman, no
just a
rerolls.
nightmare, by the way.
Yeah, transmit rerolls, and feel no pain. So we're good, right? Nothing else.
Are they Iron Warriors?
Didn't you play this thing today?
I mean, maybe they're Iron Warriors and they have -1 damage.
Oh, that would probably be pretty good. Your -1 damage plus feel no pain. I've seen that in a few places, and it's always gross.
I've never played anything like that, so I couldn't really. That seems good.
Yeah, I mean, go for it.
There's like a small part of Iron Warriors there that you guys just totally skipped.
No, we're there. The last part.
Yeah.
Give it to us.
No reroll to wound seems good.
Yeah. So I'm going to see if I can say all of these things, and I'm going to miss one.
Yep.
So the test is for you to figure out which one I missed. -1 to wound.
Yep.
Trans hitman, no reroll.
Yep.
I'm going to put that as 2, because
Okay.
that's literally 2.
Yeah, it should be.
Feel no pain.
Yep.
-1 damage. No reroll to wound.
Yep.
I
Actually, you didn't miss one. That's all.
didn't.
Yeah, that's
It's
all.
only 6.
It's merely 6.
All right. So
All on things that you're gonna take anyway.
yeah. So let's give an example. I had this unit. I put it in the center of the table, and Anthony hit it with a 10-man Terminators and shot it and everything, and you killed one.
Yep.
And then we get it for another round of combat, and you killed another one. And then I said, hey, you know what I think I might do? I might cast a Master Possession spell that puts a core unit back. I'm going to Apothecary this unit
The guy just gets back up.
on a 5.
Yep.
The warp charge costs a 5. So then you just add that Terminator back in.
Dude, that can be up to +4 to cast.
Yeah, you can also... the guy just, like, aces some poor
Yeah,
Legionnaire over there and is like, +2, this guy's way better than you.
Joke's on you. If you do that in Word Bearers, that guy gets a 5-up against those. You might just stab some man for free.
It's, ow, stop it.
Yeah, what the hell, bro?
Why are you always stabbing me?
Yeah, it's the same guy.
Yeah.
Get a bunch of knife wounds. He looks like Lucius.
So you bring that guy back, but what you know that other thing that does is it heals D3. So just in case
Yep.
you have a damaged guy with your guys who take casualties, you also get to heal him
You
up.
just pick that guy back to full health, and then you just give one of them.
There are legitimately actually very few units in the game that I feel can just sort of stand in the center of the table without some level of support, and I think these guys are almost there. I think it's still a better idea if you like preface that a little bit, block a little bit so they can't 100% on you, but that unit is there.
I think if you use every buff, I would be hard-pressed to design an army to one-go it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't It would have to be some like weird mortal wound, but you have a bunch of psychers in this scenario.
Knights, I roll a million sixes. That's your best bet, right?
Even then,
Right.
I don't think any plan that includes roll a million sixes
I mean,
is good unless you're rolling 6 million dice.
and even that is like. A lot of the night shooting doesn't have much AP, so if these dudes just stood in cover, you're just like, I guess I'm not killing them.
That's actually what I forgot. They get, they're infantry,
Yeah.
stand in cover with armor contempt. We've all seen already how impactful that is. Yeah. Then there's all this. Yeah, we're gonna get eaten alive by mosquitoes in here.
Yeah, I'm trying to just fight the horde. I feel
Oh.
like 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
it was me versus bugs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, we've all been fighting bugs for a long time.
it's all we've been doing. Wish we get
We're
it
at least
now.
well practiced. Well, I mean, so far I've been losing battles against bugs. I do not want to be practiced against
I
that.
think I got him once or twice, but
I'll take the buck while you do that.
Yeah, here you go.
This new Chaos Codex is in a really good position to fight most of the meta, I find. I haven't, like, people keep asking me, like, what are the bad matchups? And I'm going to be honest, I don't know yet. We've played a bunch of games. We've done a bunch of stuff. I have not found anything where I'm like, oh, no, I just lose yet. I'm sure there's something out there in the aggregate in the wrong mission with the wrong terrain layout where you go second, most likely. Because if you go first, you get to Illusionary, and once that's up, I'm pretty happy. But past that, like, I'm sure there's something that exists in the world that makes you sad. But any army whose game plan is like, I'm going to stand over here and score a bunch, you got to stop me, now have a very bad game plan against you. Because you will, in fact, stop them.
Yeah, I think battle plan wise, you're looking to have you want to actually just swing around the Chaos Army because the skirmishers are tough, but doable.
Yeah.
So like if you can
handle
if you can
possess.
narrow them down to you exist here and only here, you should be in a better position. Unless of course all of their secondaries are in the center.
That'd be a real shame, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would really suck. Oh man, I gotta rewind all the way back talking about the Terminators. In Iron Warriors, they also have a warlord trait called Bastion.
Oh, right. We did forget something.
We forgot the whole conversation. We forgot something.
Yeah.
This warlord trait is pick a core unit. That core unit gets obsec. That's a pretty good rule. It also gets set to defend and
Hold steady.
So
You just plus one to hit melee when you get
yeah,
charged.
like you want to just charge in a bunch of Harmorgaunts or something to like gum me up with 10 distance. Okay, I'll overwatch you, or I'll plus one to hit now.
Yep.
Like
Also,
very
that
powerful.
unit has very real, like, garbage shooting.
Yeah. In all the games actually we've done with it so far, we've been like Space Marines or
I just played
tough.
Elves.
Yeah, Elves would be so sad.
It was not happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
Talk to us about playing Elves with this thing.
So, I got shot by a Hail List, and then I got charged by a Hail List.
What did you lose to the hell for getting shot?
So, to getting shot, not charged, just shot. I lost 1 Terminator, and I lost 2 Noise Marines.
and a possessed or two.
And one, nope, they died in melee. My chosen died in melee.
All right.
So from the shooting of a Hail Army, I lost 1 Terminator, 2 possessed, 2 Noise Marines.
Okay. And you are at this point center table,
I'm in the middle of the board.
and you're on terrain. I'm guessing, right?
I'm stood in terrain
All right. And then they charge you with
with some Banshees
okay.
and
And then
Carandras,
Yeah. Okay.
and they killed 2 more possessed, and then they killed.
So they haven't even finished the possessed squad.
No, sorry, they finished the possessed squad.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the end of that. Yeah, they killed 3 possessed. One of the possessed squad died, and then Carandras killed 4 chosen,
Gosh.
and then he swung back and damage capped him. And then the next turn,
The possessed
my
person
opponent
also
conceded.
went home.
Yeah.
So he took less than 300 points of your army away. You did your first damage cap to Carandras, and you're also mid-table now.
Yep. And I got the prayer off in turn 2.
Yeah, it's not going to feel good.
How often would you say you would just auto-cant that prayer?
Don't we
Instead
hear
of risk rolling a 1. Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, how often would you say you'll just auto-cant that prayer instead of risk rolling a 1?
Let me tell you a story. We were talking about a game with Anthony and I earlier where we stood in the middle and he beat on that unit and he killed 1 and then 2 and then
Got involved.
I rolled that 1.
Was it you discovered a time when you're supposed to auto-pass it?
Yeah, I did. We talked about this a lot after I had screwed it up. I rolled a 1 and then Anthony killed 6. 1, 2, 6. Huge. Now this is, I think, exaggerated. Anthony's list is Emperor's Children hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s. He's really into
about
all of this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah, stop.
None of this. And then the few little bits of re-roll wounds you have, also no.
Yeah.
So I'm really leaning into making his life hard. But the second I lost that for just once, he wrecked me. And I tell you, if we were in that scenario, I would just be like, you know what? One of my CP per battle round, it's just doing this.
That's
Because
2.
is it 2 to set it?
2 to auto chant.
Oh.
Well, you know what? I'd get to a battle round.
That's true.
And I can't think of anything worse than losing that unit in a scenario like that.
Yeah, it was so I ended up auto-chatting mine the one time, but that was a positional mistake. I measured in the command phase and was like, I am 7 inches from that Terminator unit. All right. But, like, that buff is that powerful that if it was a stratagem, I would pay for it every time.
I think if it was 2 CP to do another chant,
Yeah.
I would chant something else and then 2 CP that, like, very regularly.
Yeah.
Because it is incredibly powerful. If your opponent is Space Marines, a lot of Chaos Space Marines, a lot of people who are like, or even Eldar with the guide and stuff, you're like, nope, we don't want any of that. You think of it as the Custodes, right? We're just like, you will not reroll in this unit. Same price.
Yep.
Right? Like, pretty good.
Another thing to consider is that this Dark Apostle does another thing that's pretty alright. He just casually gives these Terminators advance and charge.
Yeah.
It's pretty alright.
Yeah. Even if you never use it, just saying like, I could.
Yeah.
I could go out 11 inches before I charge.
There's also definitely points in the game where you've killed enough things that they can't actually realistically threaten this thing even without Illusionary, that you're like, okay, now you're dying now.
Yeah,
Where
I
that's
want you
enough.
to switch to kill. Go
Yeah,
kill.
yeah.
Go kill that random crap. Plus, also get me to those back objectives.
Also,
so I
yeah,
can
you
get my
just don't get
12s.
home objectives anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those 10 Terminators go to your opponent's home objective, and you're like, actually, you know what?
Yeah, everybody back here's gone.
That's what they were gonna do. They're
Yep.
just gonna hang out here now.
Yep.
Sorry about your day.
My 2 dudes in the middle are going to take care of scoring me 15 on secondary or whatever that word bearer's nonsense just was. And you work backwards from there.
Yeah, for sure. So I think we've talked about all of the characters that I think are incredibly impactful so far. There's a bunch of other smaller ones. We can't really fit into all of it.
Yeah.
Except for one. He's the tallest of them.
The tallest.
He wears Terminator armor,
Sure does.
and he's got Drachni.
Yeah.
We haven't really gone into Abaddon. We know you've all seen him, but oh my god, this man is impossible to kill. And I'm going to come over here to Zach because Zach
Seems really
Zach
confident.
tried to kill him.
I mean, I found a way, but
Tell
it
us
took
the
me
story.
longer than it should have. Yeah, so we played a game with Thousand Suns, and so I found a way through like a Rube Goldberg device to like blow up a screening unit or two, teleport some Terminators, and fire a bunch of stuff at him. And it was at that point I realized that he is a model with Armor of Contempt, a 2-up save, standing and cover. And in fact, things with AP2 put him on a 2-up. I then also tried to Doom Bolt him, and you had a Psyker say something about that. And I was playing Thousand Suns, right? So I have great 3-phase damage, and it took me like a couple turns.
I would say you're one of the armies in the best position to one-turn this guy. Like, there are a couple that could be in the same space, but you are there.
Yeah, it was still a pain in the ass. It was really challenging. I mean, the phase lock is huge. If you're playing an army that doesn't have 3-phase interaction, I mean, the amount of things he's going to go through before he dies is problematic.
And then what I would say is you came up a little short, so I think you put him to 2 because he is infantry, another huge benefit in this game. He ran over, killed 6 Scarab Occult Terminators, and then Zach was able to kill him. And I think that's the saddest Abaddon story we have so far.
So there's a small detail about all this.
All right.
If you're playing Black Legion, which is not the like permanent best, but if you just want Abaddon to kill everything, there's a spell called Pact of Flesh, and it works on Legion character models or core, but the spell heals Abaddon, which should not be a thing that can happen to models that are screenable and phase locked on damage.
Like, it's another really important part of this is Black Legion is probably, I would say, in the B tier, right? It's
like it's
A,
not
let's say A. Let's say A
it's
tier.
probably A.
Yeah,
it's really good. It makes
it's-
a bunch of stuff that otherwise, like, same thing. Like it has a similar impact on possessed to word bearers. It makes them hit on 2s, so it's really nice.
Yeah, we were testing with Vindicators, and we have Vindicators and a bunch of bolt guns.
Shoot the closest thing.
And the bolt guns shoot and kill your chaff if you got it up front, or if you got something tough up front, we shoot you and it's actually quite good.
Yeah.
I think the other part of it is Abaddon's chapter master thing is reroll to hit for any chaos core, right?
Yep.
But if it's Black Legion, it's reroll to hit and to wound.
Yes, sir.
That is significantly important unless you're facing Iron Warriors. But that's a significant buff, so you have to look at Black Legion and say, okay, well they might be down a little bit, but every turn, Abaddon's going to say, hey, you're amazing. And at least from my experience playing with Marvin Vol, that's a giant move.
Oh, it's huge.
So Zach, I know that we've changed it a little bit, but why don't you talk us through what a rapid fire weapon does?
Yeah. So obviously now you have exploding sixes in Doctrine. So anytime you have something that hits on twos with explosions, you have the opportunity to get a massive number of shots, more than the number you started with. And with full rerolls to wound, bolters will hurt just about anything. And bikes specifically, so one of the things is Terminators can't take the icon. So you can't make Zinchi Terminators with an extra rend. But you can have bikers with an extra rend. And you can use the strat for an extra rend. And if you...
And 6 inches of range, which I think is pretty important.
Go 30, right, exactly. And if you really wanted to and you had an extra chance sitting around somewhere, you can make them ignore cover. Probably not practical as you're only getting one per priest, but it's there. And with that volume of fire, rhinos go poof. If you need to demech things, it'll poof anything that doesn't have a 2-up save, basically. And that's pretty good. I mean, I think one of the challenges we're gonna have with CSM is they just don't shoot. Not really. I mean, there are some things that shoot, but we're not thinking about building into that. But yeah, exactly. So right.
That's some Emperor's Children privilege right there.
Right. I mean, yeah, the noise marines shoot. So I think one thing you might have a challenge with is if you really need to demech people and it's a problem, and we can't, especially if you're not Emperor's Children, you don't have noise marines sitting around.
Yeah, I think I would legitimately be, I don't want to say super scared, but I would be concerned about elves in transports that have AP. How do you feel about that? I know you've got a lot of Harlequin experience, particularly recently.
Yeah, Harlequins, not Jakari though.
What's a Jakari? I don't remember that. I don't remember that army.
They're a relic of a bygone era, unfortunately. Hi, boys. So most elf stuff. Like, remember earlier when we talked about not needing all the buffs on the Terminator unit? You definitely don't need all the buffs on the Terminator unit against elves. Mm-hmm. Elves have really specific surgical precision damage. And then once you have 1 to 2 of those buffs, they're like, hey man, you can't mess with the math that much. We can't do anything about that. Please cut it out. We're here to do exactly the amount of damage we need to. A little bit of overkill sometimes. But that's it. And then once you start fooling around with that, they get really upset really fast. So even if you can't necessarily demech them, they could just hit you with everything and you're like, all right. Well, seems okay.
If they hit that Terminator unit with everything, literally everything,
yeah,
they're going to be in the center of the table with everything, and you still have probably 3 units of possessed, some chosen, even legionnaires are going to kick
Raptors.
a Harlequin, but Raptors they have to overextend to be anywhere.
So specifically in the scenario where we're talking about a Mark of Slaanesh Terminator unit, which I think you do Legion agnostic, the Terminators should probably be Mark of Slaanesh. They can't fight last you in a meaningful way because you just interrupt.
Right.
And an interrupt into elves is the dark times. Elves don't want any part of that at all.
So what you're saying is this idea of throwing the kitchen sink at them doesn't even actually function.
Yeah, you mostly just throw a handle from one of the water spouts at them, and
they
then
throw the kitchen sink in. They fight last you. You negate the fight last. You interrupt.
And
you kill everyone who hasn't swung at you, and then you'll kill the other unit later.
Next turn, actually, when your fight first comes back.
Yeah, yeah, before they swing again.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
It's not good. It's not good for the pointy ear fans.
I feel pretty bad for pointy ear fans in general right now, but that does not sound any better.
Don't feel too bad for them. Hell's still crazy. Harlequin's really good, and most people are sleeping on Chaos. So, woo!
Yeah. Well, hopefully we're changing the number of people sleeping on Chaos right this second.
Because people that watch us, they can know. But let everybody else sleep on them. That's fine.
All right. What else have we done that we found effective in the games that we've played? What units have shined? What strategies, stratagems, anything like that?
So both games I've played now today, I have made my opponent's fight phase my fight phase, and that has felt both rude and extraordinarily enjoyable.
Yeah, I gotta say, we have a local player who plays mostly Slaanesh demons.
Yep.
And every time I fight him, I'm really try to solve his army by shooting at him, because he's so good at all of the fight forces combining and taking, like really taking advantage of the fight phase. And I look at scenarios like that. When you get really good at that stuff, you literally do. They come in, they charge, they fight you maybe one time.
Yep.
And then you fight them with the rest of your army. And then they fight with the rest of their stuff. And they can't multi-charge you. So you can really just put yourself in the center of the table and not be concerned about a massive counter charge.
And in a lot of scenarios, they can't even single charge you because Lucius will just snake between everybody and fight last you.
Plus, the Disco Lord's got the fight last
Yeah,
stratagem
there's
we
a
could
lot
pop.
of areas
Like,
that
yeah.
Yeah, Emperor's Children also have a 6-inch heroic, which
Yeah.
currently, strictly speaking, the wording doesn't really work super good,
Oh.
but that'll obviously get changed.
We can assume it'll be fixed and it'll be like a regular 6-inch heroic.
Yeah.
Right now, the stratagem allows you to perform a heroic intervention if you're within 6 of an enemy, but it doesn't say anything about moving more than 3 inches. When I first read it, I actually had also read the fight last within 3, and my first take was that it was intentional, and the point was that it lets you go the 3 to get within range for the fight last, which would work, but it would also cost 3 CP, which is kind of dead on arrival right now. Yeah, well, that's a Rube Goldberg justification for them writing rules badly. I
think it'll just get fixed.
Yeah,
but it's, again, you said, I think Zach said it earlier, is like the Emperor's Children's Stratum page is just a cascade of wonderful things that happen to your army when you read through it. I'd read it twice.
Yeah.
I think it's that good.
More importantly, it's a cascade of horrible things that happen to your opponent's army.
So true.
As I say with Emperor's Children, like, if your plan was to punch me, I hope you have a second plan, because that's not going to work.
Yeah, the backup plan is important. And actually, I think in a lot of cases, people don't have a backup plan. Like, if you look at NIDS coming at you, and they're like, okay, we're going to shoot at you. And you're like, great, I'm going to stand in cover. You got nothing.
Yeah, blanked.
And you can't charge into me. It's like my list writing phase beat you. Like,
Yeah.
you're just done. End of the day for you.
I think really focusing on like all the buffs you can put on one unit though, like you can miss the point that like in the list you've been playing, Anthony, like you have 2 squads of possessed, a unit of chosen, a unit of noise marines. Like everything in the list is really dangerous, right? Like even if you put everything into the middle of the table on a buffed unit, and your opponent can somehow throw the kitchen sink at them and get stuck in with you, like they're gonna lose their other objectives. Like you're just too good everywhere else.
So the secret with my list is that the Terminators are a screen. I will table you with my characters, as Chuck found out. Because, like, I don't really care. Like, if you kill my Terminator, like, they do good damage. It's not bad. It's enough that you, like, definitely have to answer that. But that's not what ends your life. It's Abaddon and the Disco.
They're a delivery device. They're like, here, I'm going to get you safely to mid-table, and then you go make sure I don't die.
Yep.
Right, is the overall plan. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of like you were talking about, you telling me about today, I think it was really intelligent, about Possessed.
Right.
You were talking about how they are CP agnostic.
Yep.
If you kind of go through that a little bit, some of your thoughts.
Yeah, so, like, in Chaos in general, it's really tempting, and I see players fall into this trap all the time, where they take a bunch of units that are, like, super buffable, but they don't take enough buffs to apply to them. And it's really easy to be like, dude, you can do all these things to this unit, you do all these things to that unit, and that works really well in, like, a 4,000-point army with 5 detachments. So, slow down. Like, you need some units that work just flat, like without buffs, without anything. And the Possessed at 28 points, sure, is it a bummer that we can't buff them the way that something that's like the unholy union of Marine and Demon should be able to be buffed? Sure. Yes. But they fill an extremely important role in the army, and I'm going to run 10 to 15 in every list that I write. Because you send those dudes to a flanking objective, and they clobber whatever's there, and then they are 15 god-awful wounds to remove that, in Emperor's Children, can fight on death. And it's just a nightmare. The whole thing is not, like, they're great in every legion, I think. There's an argument to not take them in some of the, like, finesse legions, like Alpha Legion, maybe. But, like, Night Lords, for example, have a 1 CP strat to reroll 1s to hit against, like, targets with certain leadership values or if they've taken wounds. That's huge. Like, and it works on them. So being able to do that's a big deal. So units like them, like Warp Talons, who do similar things but faster with less damage, like, it's really good. Really, really strong. Take stuff like that when you're building Chaos lists, please.
Yeah, I think another big piece of why that works is the movement increase. Going up to 9-inch movement,
They're fast.
their range is ridiculous. And to be that tough and to have that kind of range, it for one, it means you're going to make it from this piece of terrain to this piece of terrain, which is incredibly important. But you're going to connect, or you're going to be like, you're going to project force. That's really going to make people change their behaviors. Trying to think, what else did we use that was fun? I actually, straightforward, one thing that caught me by surprise, all of the cultists in all the 9th Ed codexes don't have objective secured. Not for Chaos Space Marines. They have objective secured.
We got the real cultists.
Yeah, the real ones. Over here, we let them pick things up.
Yeah, they can stand on that objective real well.
Yeah.
Also 5 points a model, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're fine. They're just better. But there's an even better cultists.
Yeah, that's true.
I really want to try some of those.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're really worth. I'll have to find out. But
I-
they're cool.
I'm gonna say it right now, and I'm often wrong, so you can ignore me. But I think they are absolutely right. They're only 25 points more to have a minimum squad of them than it is to have a regular squad of cultists. For that, you're getting 5 dorks who have toughness 4.
Yep.
They have a 6-up field no pain. You're also getting 3 of the tormented guys who are T4 3 wounds,
They're like Spawn.
and they're like spawn when they hit you,
They have a feeling, okay.
and they have a 6-up field no pain. But you got those 3, right? And I put the 3 here, and then I string out over here and hold an objective, and then you shoot me off. Great. I take these dorks off. Well, guess what? The little guys don't count for morale.
And they come back.
And yeah, and then on my turn, I get D3 of them back. So if that goes well, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'd like to go back out and be on this objective because I would like these
I'd
points.
just like to do it again.
You know, I would just like to low-key have Necrons.
Are they objective secured?
Yes, they are.
The cultists.
So, like, that's great. But if they get too close, send them in. They're not going to do a ton, but they'll kill a Marine.
They're better than cultists.
And they'll secure the objective. And you get them into, like, an ongoing battle where people are going to kill a couple and a couple come back. Like, this, it's going to be horrible for them. So I think they're going to be great. I'm going to be probably testing some of them out tomorrow because I think adding 25 points to my 3 squads of cultists to get all that tech is great. I also think just in general, if it's standing here in front of you and you shoot at it, what do you shoot at it? You shoot a damage 3 weapon at it? Well, that killed a single dude with 1 wound. You shoot a bunch of bolters
Killed
at
a
it,
lot of them, though.
you killed one Tauren guy. Like, it's ridiculous.
But he's really dead. He's extra dead.
Yeah, he's extra dead. He I think you can bring one of them back though.
Yeah, you can.
It's D3 or one of him. Yeah, it's ridiculous. What else we got?
Land Raiders.
Yeah.
Do you take you put obliterators in the Land Raider? Is that what you do?
Look, you can only do it once because they're both heavies.
That's true.
But it does give you a obliterator delivery device.
For their melee.
I think it got a lot of improvements. If the points come down, maybe. But it's constant suffering that I see in a lot of units like this. Like when you have 4 shots and you swing, and like if on the first 2 turns of the game this guy does nothing, you have 265 points or something like that, just sitting still.
So, Chuck, I know you play Death Guard. I played a lot of Death Guard, and
This is gonna be pain.
so we're talking about yeah, right. We're talking about anyone that talks about rolling 4 dice that hits on 3s. I think of my Plague Burst Crawlers.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the math on 4 shots on 3s is 2.66 hits.
Sure
It's
isn't,
not.
though.
It's 2. It's 2. I'm telling you, it's sometimes 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something more important though. That Plague Burst Crawler is 135 points.
Yeah.
Now it is.
That's almost half the cost of that Land Raider.
You could basically buy 2 of them for the cost of
Right, and they can be in 2 different spots, and I think that's super important. But yeah,
They can fail in 2 separate locations.
yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
Also, it's 3 plus D3 instead of D6 plus D6.
yeah, it's actually 2 Plague Burst Crawlers is better than a Land Raider, other than it doesn't carry 10 dudes, which
And too bad the mortals
Could
don't
matter.
work anymore.
it works fine.
You just direct fire it.
Yeah, I think I've heard a lot of people say when they changed those rules that the Plague Burst Crawlers were out.
Oh, no,
I immediately bring 3 Plague Burst Crawlers to the table, and I've convinced other Death Guard players that they do the same. Because of the price drop, and Armor of Contempt is incredibly powerful on them. I think they actually got better, and everybody misread the scenario.
Yeah. It used to be super funny to needle them to death with nonsense. You can't really do that now.
It's not a thing. So I think the Land Raider is kind of out. The Predator, its main turret with las cannons, got the same upgrades.
Yep.
So doing an extra 2 damage.
So, Predator versus Vindicator. Why one or the other?
I want to hear Anthony's because I know his opinion, but I disagree with him. So I'm.
It is not close. Take the Predator. Please don't take the Vindicator. I beg of you. Don't take the D6 damage
Don't listen to him.
Not
Not only do you not take the Predator, because it's taking up one of your very valuable Vindicator slots, you take all 3 Vindicators.
It's your very valuable obliterator slots. Someone has to do melee.
For the cost of 3 Obliterators, you can have 2 Vindicator tanks.
Oh man, it hurts.
It hurts so much. God, I played that army and I wasted like almost 600 points in my heavy attack slots.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
But I gotta try it.
Yeah. When I eventually pass from this world, I want obliterators to be my pallbearers so they can let me down one more time. I fucking hate those losers.
They're gonna fail at it.
Yeah, they're gonna drop me. Yeah. God,
Unless you get them in close combat, then they're gonna
Yeah,
they're gonna rock your
we'll
world.
keep them real close to the gravesite so they have a lower chance of messing it up.
Yeah, those poor guys. I love them. They haven't been good in like a decade.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
The last time they were good, I was still in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.5 chaos. So out of all the CSM sub-factions, who has the best secondary, do you think?
Creation's Bile.
Yeah. Christian's bile is kill your opponent.
Yeah, almost literally.
If you're going to kill your opponent, please do it in melee and get bonus points.
Yeah.
Go through here.
Oh, I get to read.
Yeah, you
at
go
the
spread out, right?
at the. Are we sure? That seems unlikely.
Oh, when I read out loud, I stumble over the place.
Oh, okay. At the end of the battle round, score 3 victory points if 1 or more character or monster units were destroyed by a melee attack made by a Creation's Bile model from your army this battle round. Score 2 victory points if 1 or more units, excluding character, monster, or vehicles units, were destroyed by a melee attack made by a Creation's Bile model from your army this battle round.
Now my favorite part.
At the end of the battle, score 1 or more Adeptus Astartes, Sanctus Astartes, or Heretic Astartes units were destroyed by a melee attack made by a Creations of Bile model from your army during the battle. Score an additional victory point.
What a fun writer. Did you face power armor? Here, have a
One
point.
more.
Have a point.
Yeah, so this lets you just pick up 5 a turn.
And let's talk about Christians of Bile a little bit. You're getting +1 move, +1 strength.
They're going to make me a little sad.
What else do you get?
Full fight on death all the time. Everyone. Which,
So
if history tells us anything, in like a month or two, that'll be on a 4-up dual mortal wound when you die. But until then, woo!
you're just launching things faster than normal at your opponent, and if they countercharge, well, it's your fight phase again.
Yeah. They have a 1 CP advance in charge. They have a 1 CP advance in charge stratagem as well, which is really cool, except that that's one of their 4 stratagems, and they have 3 warlord traits and 2 relics. So I don't know why that GW is randomly like, these guys get a really cool secondary, a really cool chapter tactic, nothing else.
Yeah, and the relics and warlord traits are pretty bad. I do like.
Universally, not good.
I think they're the only way to bring warp talons.
What?
You advance in charge with the warp talons.
Oh.
You go up to strength 5. No?
You can't advance in charge with the
My heart.
Is there a rider on that?
core.
Core is the worst. All right, so you advance in charge with some legionnaires.
Yeah, get in there with your chosen.
I like chosen. It's just 1 damage is so limiting.
Well, you know, maybe you wanted them to have a not Slanesh mark, and maybe you wanted them to advance in charge. I'm just saying. I'm trying to be kind here.
Could you tell us what units that is? No, he cannot.
I really like chosen. I run a unit, but they have both less attacks at less damage than possessed when their weapon gives them 1 extra attack, which makes me sad for like a whole litany of reasons. I just wish that like somehow in the math that wasn't the case. That's all. That hasn't mattered yet for me.
Yeah, I was saying that I also don't have an invulnerable save, which is too bad.
Yeah, at least fine for me. Since Armor Contempt came out, the 3-up, 5-up is kind of a joke. It's like, if you hit me with an AB4, great, the guy's dead, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
you got me.
yeah, there goes a 28-point dude. What's next?
Yep. But also 3 wounds though.
Yeah, the 3 wounds actually caught me off guard. That really puts him in the same space possessed, except for the 1 damage apiece.
Yeah, and
I think that's.
the 3 inches of movement they don't have.
You think 3 inches is enough?
I
Oh.
mean,
But if you kill a unit, you get to be in all 3 of the slaughter.
yeah.
The
well, that's
yeah, I
really
forgot about
important
that rule.
for those great guns you're trying
yeah,
to get.
we were trying to talk that through. Like, okay, so on turn 2, you rapid fire your bolt guns into a squad that has already been shot by a lot of different things. You kill a unit, and then now you're in wanton slaughter where you wanted to be, which was happening next turn anyway.
Yeah,
Like-
I'll have you know that the only upgrades those chumps can take are combi flamers, combi meltas, combi plasmas, and a plasma pistol. So maybe if you spend just an ungodly amount of points on nonsense upgrades, you too can be in the doctrine you were about to be in anyway,
So I could fire 2 plasma guns at somebody,
and maybe die.
maybe lose some guys, and 2 plasma guns is not enough to kill anything.
It might kill a support character.
You could finish off something.
Yeah.
Yeah, support characters now run out in front of their army.
Listen, man, I don't know.
Is your opponent trying to help you get this done?
I just want my rules.
Yeah, it's a nothing. It's a nothing bonus. I don't know how we're supposed to do anything else with it.
Neither do they.
So let's talk about the one thing I was hoping would be really good, but it kind of medium in my opinion.
Obliterators?
No, they're not medium, sir. They did not reach that mark. Let's talk about demon engines. We knew most of what we were expecting here, right? The Helldrakes, Defilers, Mauler Fiends, Forge Fiends, they come out in other codexes. They're the same. I don't think there's anything in this book that makes me excited for them.
There's one thing that's really cool, but I haven't found a place for it. I think the Venom Crawler is really neat. I haven't read a list that like uses them yet, but I look at that and I go, "There's got to be something here. Like this is a pretty cool model."
They're pretty good in word bearers because the plus one to cast is sweet, and then they get reroll hits when they charge. And then additionally, a Lord Discordant makes them plus 1 weapon skill and ballistic skill. That's the other side of his buff. He improves their weapon skill and ballistic skill, which is hilarious because that is not a buff that is common in the game.
Yeah, and they're weapon skill, ballistic skill 3. So if they're running up next to him, they're hitting on 2s. And then I remember the gun is what, 6 strength 6 AP 2/2s.
Yep.
That's not a wasted gun.
Yeah. It's also like it makes Mauler Fiends scary, but they're just too slow.
Yeah, I agree. The Mauler Fiend, particularly, he's taking up so much space. He's
Head
yeah. He's like, is that a hard target? I'm gonna wreck it. But if your opponent has a hard target like that, they're gonna prioritize him, and they're going to be able to kill him. Or you,
just kill it. You could just kill it with the disco you're going to use to buff the.
yeah, whose character blocked somehow? Yeah, that's gonna be a.
Oh. Your Malafin is doing the job of a rhino, making someone doesn't go your Disco Lord. I'm just saying.
Well, let's be fair. The Rhino goes a little faster, and is smaller, and has 10 cultists inside it. Like, it's not doing the job of a Rhino, even though it costs 50 points more.
You know what you can't put in the Rhino? Obliterators.
No, thank God. The Rhino would
Yeah,
rather
you'd be more
explode
tempted
on the
then.
first turn than have obliterators in it.
Yeah.
But I do think the Venom Crawler, one of the ways I'd consider about using the Venom Crawler is I've been experimenting with the Chaos Space Marine units having Baleful Tomes and having a couple Psychers on my list.
Yep.
And I think, I don't know how much they can see, but just you put you're going to have a backfield unit holding something down.
Yep.
What if that's the Venom Crawler? Who's going to come to your backfield objective when you got a Venom Crawler on it? But he's also projecting this aura out that's going to be giving those characters, those first couple of turns, this very important +1 to cast their spells.
Super good.
And when you're hanging on your buffs, like, that's important. And I think that's a pretty interesting idea. I haven't tested it yet, but I'm look at it.
Yeah, so I mean, I've thought a lot about like, let's go down that a little bit, right? So if we're gonna run a Venom Caller for plus to cast, what are all the plus to cast we want to put in a list? Like, what does a CSM list that really relies on psychic output and powers look like? I'm assuming we're gonna have Master of Possession. I'm assuming we're probably gonna have some Possessed or Demon King units in there. What do you?
The Master of Possession might just be the best caster in the game at this point. He is like
We've talked a little bit around this, but he just does, I think, his D3 mortal wounds to a nearby core unit, right?
I think it's just unit.
Is it just unit?
I think it's
Non-Demonkin unit or
I think
something?
it's Heretic Astartes specifically or something.
Okay,
to
but
that
not
effect.
cultists.
Let me look.
Okay. But he's going to do some mortal wounds to something nearby, and he's going to get +2 to cast. Now, if he's in the Venom Crawler aura as well, that's +3 to cast on this guy.
And if he has the book or the Zinch Relic, it's an extra cast and another +1.
Yeah, is extra cast and another +1?
Yeah.
Okay, so now he's casting 3 spells, and he's rocking them out at I think one of them is a +4 and 2 at +2.
At least, yeah.
That's a pretty good scenario to be in.
I actually think his +2 bonus is for the phase. I could be wrong, so I'm gonna have to check me on
Yeah.
that.
I also really like a model that kills one of your models and reses models for you. Because then he's saying like, hey, you know what? Let's kill that model at the back of the unit, and we'll just put that up at the front there and give you another, in some cases, almost 4 inches with things like possessed and stuff.
Or Terminators.
The Terminators, yeah, that's a huge movement buffer for Terminators. They're like, that's a whole turn.
I hadn't considered using the Master of Possession to kill a model out of one of your units so that you can then bring it back in the front. That's actually really cute.
I appreciate you. The first thing I try to do with any codex is kill my own things. I assume that's always unintended and that somehow I can get some benefit from it. That might just because I've played too many pink horrors, but that is the life I live.
Yeah.
What do you got first?
Legion Infantry excluding something and cultists. So, excluding Demonkin and cultists.
So no Demonkins or
Whole
Cultist.
phase or just one cast?
Oh, yeah.
If
So
it's
then you're looking
all
at,
three of this cast, that's actually really hot.
without Demonkins and Cultists, you are looking really at putting it on Legionnaires, random characters on your team. Like,
It's not Demonkin or Cultist.
right,
Does it have to be infantry or anything?
infantry. Yeah,
Infantry.
yeah, but that's, like, I don't mind doing it once to the Dark Apostle. Like, whatever. He won't die. He'd be fine. But yeah, I think some couple Legionnaires, or I'm already talking about, like, Legionnaires of the book aren't the best choice, but if you need to fill a hole and you need one more cast, like, they're your guy.
So we'll have a Master of Possession this kind of list, right? Maybe 2. Some dudes with books. And then I'm assuming a normal sorcerer or something, just because. I mean, I haven't looked at that tree very far. I know Warp Time got a little nerfed, and some of the other powers were kind of a big sad panda. But do you know what's in there? Is there there's Prescience still, right?
I think Prescience and Warp Time. I think Warp Time is still good. Like, it's not dead, but it's not being able to charge after you Warp Time is a pretty big difference. But getting out to a weird odd flank, getting to weird spots, there's a lot of value there.
I still want Warp Time some bikes against Elves.
I think what's probably more valuable is we start talking about you have to buy a character and then give them the mark, and start casting the god-specific powers, because you're getting that's where we talked earlier with the Feel No Pain.
Right.
Nurgle's still giving -1 to hit, and Zeech is giving out a 4-up invuln.
Very Zeech.
Let's talk about those accursed cultists we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Let's give them a 4-up invuln.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you shoot at that? That's a 75-point unit and a spell, and it is just
Annoying.
Impossible to kill. You have to do. It has to be some kind of like, I shoot you 80 times. If your opponent doesn't have a shoot you 80 times solution, you're just like, well, here I go.
You can just bulk them up a bunch too. Like that unit can get quite large. That unit can get quite large. Like you can make a large unit of those dudes.
Is
You
it,
can also, if they have a Mark of Nurgle, I believe that Master of Possession can make them toughness 5.
You don't even need Mark and Nurgle.
yeah.
you
You just picks a unit.
Cool. Sweet. Yeah. Even better.
T5, great. And if they happen to be, getting that T5 with a 5-up.
That might be core locked. I don't know if there's like locking keywords.
Oh, are they not core?
I don't know if they are. I'm just saying like cultists typically are not. So
Yeah, it's a serious thing to look at. But yeah, we were talking about how big they get. They can have 10 little demons
and
6 big dudes.
yeah,
And that's 150 points, but like, it's pretty serious.
yeah, it's a bunch of
You're not moving it.
stuff.
It's obsec. It regrows itself, and it punches. Let's give it like it punches medium. You're not trying to get into combat with it, but when that happens, you're not
the
sad.
Dark Apostle can just give it. The Dark Apostle can just give it full reroll to hit, which is pretty hilarious when it's that many dudes and that many attacks at that much whatever.
If they were word bearers, they'd just have rerolls to hit. You know what? They probably don't. That's part of the triple nerf back in the day, right?
Yeah, I think that's the
Oh,
case.
they have OBSEC now, so
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? The world is their oyster.
Yeah.
But regardless, like, they're not nothing. And one of the things a lot of people will hold a backfield objective with literally nothing. They're like, this is the cheapest thing in my army. I put it here. I get my points. And then if anybody gets around the flank, that shit's dead. Well, what if it's a 75-point unit that can actually fight a little bit?
Yeah.
Now you got to send something a little bit more. And you didn't sacrifice. You sacrificed 25 points. At least in my experience writing the list on this thing, that 25 points is probably not mattering.
no, not often. Pretty frequently in Drukhari, I would hold my backfield with a 130-point Court of the Archon. Like, they would just hang out back there, and I'd be like, I have 130 points to make sure you never even try. And then I have 1,870 points to kick you in the teeth until you leave me alone.
I think that describes exactly what an aggressive army looks like.
I mean, you played against me today.
Yeah, it was like it's how I look at my orcs when I play them. Right, it's like, okay, I've gone through and like, oh, a mech, he's 25 points. I will leave him back here.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm sending 1975 at you. Go.
Yeah. But I've found very often that I'm willing to pay a premium to not have to go backwards.
And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, right? Is like this unit isn't alone, and the fact that they sort of fight, have a weird kind of durability, and are obsec means that there's a lot of different reasons you won't have to go backwards.
Right.
And then even if they just wrap somebody up and then there's like regrow as you go, like this whole scenario is not great for some random skirmisher.
I just had a cheesy idea. Okay, so is the regenerating cultist a May?
I assume so.
I was imagining if you could say stab him with a master possession or whatever and just move into position so he can regrow onto an objective in the middle and just don't expose the squad at all.
You can't do cultists.
God.
I've already been here. But if you just string them out and hold the center objective with them and your opponent doesn't kill them, cool. I'll take a 12. Yeah, stop me. Right?
You guys in the jank tank.
Look, I'm always trying to kill my own dudes for profit. That's
Is over here like, you don't do that. Just kill him.
just it.
Kill their
Go
dudes.
faster, hit harder.
What are you doing?
Let's see. What else we got in this book that we haven't talked about? Like we've talked about it, like I think our favorite things at this point.
So,
What are some other pieces?
Well, in terms of practical game plan, right? So we're talking about an aggressive army. You're probably gonna take banners a lot because you're gonna have your boot on them, so you can put up little flags. Do you think you guys are gonna take Honor the Dark Gods very often? What do your second and third secondaries look like?
Yeah, I like secondaries. Don't make me do stuff. Like if I could just be like done and then carry on with my day, those are my favorite. Rod used to do that. That was pretty sweet. But then now I have to do like a bunch of chicanery nonsense to do Rod, so I don't do that one anymore. Basically, any stratagem that requires me to read for more than 4 sentences, I'm probably out on. Thankfully, me and Chuck were able to sum up for the Dark Gods in a quick enough manner that I was like, we can do that one pretty often. So that one's really good. Rise to Glory, if your opponent takes any amount of like character, vehicle, monster, and your list is built for beat stick down like you should be as a Chaos player. That one's pretty free. Like, I had to play around it a little bit. Like, I didn't have to be like, just smash him with my Terminators when he got close to me. But the trick in that is pretty clear. Just, like, don't scam yourself out of points for no reason.
Well, like in our game, the prince came into you in an awkward position, and you had to kill the prince with your Terminators.
Right.
You would not have preferred to do that, but it was fine.
I tried with Lucius.
Yeah, that did not come out well.
You just, like, it's so annoying because, like, even on, like, what should happen, Lucius does like 6 to that guy, and instead he did 0.
He did 0.
And
Died, and then uses his on death to do 1 mortal wound out of D6. It's just like
idiot.
nothing. You get nothing.
Yeah, very frustrating that was. Yeah, but in general, like those will be some pretty consistent ones. I mean, I might end up just taking like Adorn the Canvas Eclectic or whatever it's called sometimes, just because it's like Ghetto Stranglehold, and sometimes it's with upside.
I also think it's just, you're likely to just get points out of that. Like,
Yeah,
you're just playing, and you're like at the end of the round, you're batting around and go, okay, so what did I do?
Yeah.
Do I get some points here? And
Yeah,
like,
it's very like play the game, get points.
yeah, and I also think the way you play, at least, there's a turn where you break somebody,
Right.
and I think in that turn, you break them, you're going to get the full and get the 5.
Right.
And that'll make up for the fact that you probably went 2 to 5.
Yeah, or it'll be like 1, 2, maybe 3, and like 5, and then it's actually really easy to do secondaries like that once you're in control, because you can be like, oh, okay, well, you would like to score it all, right? Now we're playing on my time.
Right.
So you hang out over there, I'm gonna kill this unit, and then I'll stab this one. Whoop, that's 3.
Anytime I can say to my opponent, like, take a number, get in line, I'll be with you in a minute.
Yeah.
You know that you're like, this is my game. I've already figured this
Yeah.
out. Like,
And
not
there's-
killing your opponent's character so you can mentally interrogate them one more time.
Oh, yeah.
There is no better way to assert any sort of dominance on
You're
someone.
advancing away from that
Yeah.
character so they don't charge into you
Yeah.
and die.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Emperor's Children have control like no army I've played, and I played like Blackheart Vexator Mask Drukari when they came out. Like, Emperor's Children control you in ways that other armies just can't. I'm not, like, it sounds like I'm exaggerating. They literally turn your fight phase into theirs and then, like, laugh at you while it happens. And you just stand there like, this was my turn. What is going on? And they get to make all those choices at the point of contact. None of it's, like, preloaded or whatever.
yeah, you don't have to call your bluff. You call anything. You're just like, no.
Yeah, you just position
this-
vaguely well.
This is what you've done with your turn? Well, let me just look and see. I'll do this and this. Get out of here.
Yeah, none of it worked. Sorry. By the way, you're all dead. Also, now it's my turn.
I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
And
Wanna see
the
me do
guys,
it again?
The guys are still in combat. They got strikes first, so
Yeah, who cares?
they'll be hitting you.
Yeah. Strikes first is it's funny. Because there's a bunch of like warlord traits and stuff in the game that gives you strikes first, and it means literally nothing. Army-wide strikes first is a very different beast.
And even in this case, it's an army wide. You're about 50-50 strikes first,
Right.
Like with your possessed squad stuff, but it makes the difference because you pick your possessed squad, and then these other guys go right. Or
Yeah.
you got your one interrupt. Save it if you need to, but whatever.
If someone wants to start on my possessed, be my guest, and if you don't, I'm gonna just interrupt with them, and then you get clobbered.
Plus, there's also like Lucius's fight last, plus the strat fight last. So in there, maybe your possessed still gets to strike first.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the possessed have been hanging out with the disco a lot, and that's been really good because they keep up with him, and then they touch cover, and then they're like really difficult to kill. As long as 3 of those jobbers stay alive, we're in it.
Yeah. And even if they don't, like they still have
they-
enough firepower to matter.
Yeah, they make the activation
Like-
sequencing awkward because
Yeah.
at that point it's like, how many activations is it going to take for you to thin out both units of possessed? Okay, once you're done with that, do you actually have enough damage to kill the disco?
It turns out no, you can't. You can't harm him with shooting.
Apparently, just he doesn't take damage with shooting.
So that
But
we
those
didn't know that looking at the data slate, but it's good. You should
The
take that.
obliterator fists though, you gotta watch out.
That. Strangely, actually, we're not joking. They're
Yeah, like no, unironic. Like, I'm
They're
not-
pretty good at punching.
Strength 10, which caught me way off guard.
strength 10, like high AP, high damage. Like they're not joking around. And then they also can shoot in combat. So hilariously, if somebody were to like charge you, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, you'd be like, bang.
They bounce off you and just like, okay, well
Yeah, then
that's
you can shoot them and do nothing.
Not nothing. At that point, you probably shoot like
yeah, you're shooting.
3 shots
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah. Shoot them whatever like D6 plus
Six,
6
yeah,
times.
yeah.
It's like
So you'll fail one of these.
please take a damage.
Yeah.
And let me feel like a shooting unit, please.
Yeah, please.
Oh.
I think the real failure in design with obliterators is their lack of range. If they had more range, they would be a lot more usable. Their 5-inch move, non-assault gun situation is.
I think range is big. I also think they should just have always been in wherever the Wantum Destruction is. They should just
Yeah.
have the ability to just. We always have this.
I love that unit is either in deep strike and misses its doctrine entirely, or moves 5 and shoots 24 and misses its doctrine entirely.
Well, if you would like
What?
to, you can spend a CP or 2. I don't remember.
A bunch.
Yeah, to deep strike them on the first turn and not kill anything with them.
God.
But yeah, so far our impressions are not good.
On obliterators.
Yeah,
Everything else I've played has been stellar.
yeah.
Really happy with the army.
I think we've talked about all the units at this point.
Yeah.
Does anybody? Oh, we haven't talked a little bit. Raptors are in good shape. They're dirt cheap, like 21 points for a jump packing guy who swings 4 times. Like just
It's literally an 18-point legionnaire with a 3-point jump back. Right? That's
That's a
literally.
much better way of looking at that than
Yeah.
what I was doing.
yeah, it's bonkers. I also think they do like we were talking about for the Dark God.
Leadership aura?
Yeah, they have a -1 leader. So I went through and looked. Everybody, like, there's a ton of guys who have -1 leadership auras. They are all called fearsome. What's important about this is auras don't stack.
Yeah.
So you create a space that's -1, but you don't have. They're not piling up.
It does stack with Night Lords, though.
Yeah, it does. And then I will. This is my favorite cute thing from the book. You have a bunch of fearsome auras. You have -2 from your Night Lords, and you're playing mental interrogation every game because they're at -3 leadership. You're gonna get the powers off, and then you're gonna get CP back from it because you're talking to people with leadership of like 5.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
bonkers.
Did you have leadership 8? Not no more, you don't.
Yeah. And then they also run up your combat attrition, so I think they could make people run away. The problem is a lot of our super predators. We can't see them over there, but those bugs, they don't care, and it sucks to lean into something where some armies are just like, I don't care.
Actually, the Night Lords have a bunch of aura turn off, and Synapse is an aura.
I believe Synapse is an aura that has a specific rider saying it's not an aura. It doesn't?
Synapse is an aura.
It's an aura. Just go for it.
Synaptic link is not.
Synaptic link. That's
Yeah, but
okay.
whatever. That's for morons. We're trying to make people run away, not turn off their invuln.
Yeah. So that would be interesting. You'd have to like,
There's a couple of steps here.
I'm seeing a lot of like Tyranid warrior spams, so you got to turn off probably more than one aura.
I think it turns off their ability to receive auras.
Oh, in that case, yeah, you could pick a unit and be like, you're getting out of here.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of you are running away.
Yeah.
And by a
So
lot, I
there's-
mean like 4 or 5. But, whatever.
So there's a 2 CP fix.
It's a lot of work. It's,
Yeah, I feel like you're working pretty hard. You could just say re-roll the hits in combat and crush them instead.
You totally could just murder. Listen, I tried to join you guys in the jank tank. I just wanted to participate. You know how I feel about this.
What if we just punched harder?
Yeah, what if we just went through them instead of around them?
Well, the part of it that I like is is having consistent command point generation.
Yeah.
I think that's the start of trying to make something that's a little bit interesting.
Yeah. On a like entirely separate note, if we were in Nockman still, I think Night Lords would be like bordering broken. They have a bunch of like really good warlord traits, stratagems, relics. We just straight up do not have the ability to afford that stuff anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we do. Maybe we're missing the point. Maybe you start at 0
Oh.
and you gain 3 a turn.
Yeah, like that article told us. Even though we start with 6 less, we get 2 back a turn now. Even though it's only a 5-turn game, apparently that's the same in English math.
Yeah, but also those are -2.
Yeah, we'll just ignore those.
Oh, actually, I was gonna say we talked about Night Lords. Is there? Do we think there's anything in Night Lords that's worth doing?
Yeah, like they have a bunch of really good like warlord traits, relics, and stratagems. They have a relic that's like a super claw that ignores damage caps. You want to kill Abaddon? Night Lords get
That's
it
your
done.
guy. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But we started this actually on Raptors, and I want to make the point of it.
Yeah.
We were talking about how good For the Dark Gods is.
Oh,
Raptors units love to For the Dark Gods in Iron Warriors, particularly, because you can give them Obsec and just bounce out. You're just first turn, you're just like, boop, I got this quarter done. You go into that dangerous quarter. It's that same thing when you used to R&D with your scouts. You just run up, get the R&D in, and be like, well, we're dead now, but that's points.
It's done.
But your Raptors can do that, but they can also not do it,
Yeah.
and they're not a waste. You have
Well,
5
the game-
Raptors just can kill stuff.
In the game that we played, I deep struck the Raptors in just like behind a ruin, and I was like, oh, okay, next turn they'll just go over there and do it.
Yeah,
It's
just
not like you were gonna stop them.
come into the safe spot.
Yeah,
and-
you had disco Abaddon problems to worry about.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point to make about these kinds of that kind of mission. It gets so much easier when you're doing high pressure.
Yeah.
When you're doing high pressure, your opponent is like, "No, I'm not stopping you. I need to try to survive this." And it's
Yeah.
like, "Great, I'll get points while you do
I
that."
would like to be alive at the end of the turn. And it's like, oh, okay, well then I'm gonna run around and score and do stuff while you do that.
Yeah, and I think that's a unit that it's pretty good. Also, if you just get like 10 of them, got to mention Harkin here, the World Claimer.
Unironically, very
Yeah.
scary.
Him giving them full rerolls to hit and wound. Great. The fact that you can do that for them while Abaddon is doing like your Terminator unit.
You can put it on him.
Yeah, and then he's a sufficient beat stick. He's going to do some work on his own. So
Yeah. He also has an amazing model. It was really sad that
Yeah.
it was terrible for a long time.
I feel really bad. I've got one, and I took it all apart and made like a sorcerer out of him with a jump pack. And now I need another one because
Yeah, you
that guy's
do.
going to be hitting the table.
This is disrespect. You turned the world claimer himself, Abaddon's Herald, into a sorcerer.
With a jump pack.
Which
That's-
you also can't use anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a really
That's
important way.
sad. I have
Losing-
double converted jump back sorcerers.
Oh, you have a
that
couple converted jump pack sorcerers with the jump packs? I have a 10-man possessed squad on the way made out of jump pack characters. They're just going to carve those jump packs off there and put some more tentacles on them. Good to go.
Another thing that I'll note is that, like, it is sad that they removed jump pack lords, but good lord, could you make some monstrous stuff if they still existed?
I'm very sad about it. So sad that, yes, it was the right choice.
Yeah.
Particularly with, like, advanced in charge. Just like, okay, here comes this guy.
Yeah. Here comes the pain.
But it actually also made, I think, a space where Demon Princes or something.
Yeah, without it, Demon Princes and Discos would not be
Yeah.
commonly, if at all, seen.
Yeah, so I think that good design decision, interesting. Obviously, we're sad about our few models that we have, but like not a big deal.
Right. Yeah, like on the... I feel about Chaos almost the opposite of how I feel about Nephilim, is that there are individual things that make me sad, but on the whole, I'm really happy with it.
Well, let's be really fair. If they'd made a book that made you sad,
But had individual things that were
Well,
really exciting.
well, no, like if you went from the old Chaos Space Marine book and this one made you feel like it was worse. What are you talking about? Like 8th edition Chaos Demons here? Like,
They could have done it. I'll tell you, Chuck, I was not thrilled when I went from 8th edition Psychic Awakening Blood Angels to 9th edition Blood Angels. So it can happen to you.
no, I mean, when I went to 8th edition Demons, I was like, oh, my army is significantly weaker.
Yeah.
And it's just gotten weaker and weaker since. So
Sure
come
did.
on, 9th edition Chaos Demons.
Yeah.
I would love to be sharing this kind of stuff about them too.
Yeah, I hope we just go into 10th edition with no demons. That would be hilarious.
Yeah, just give them a skip.
Yeah, just you guys get the first of the next one. Sorry.
We get the Necron treatment. Where we,
Yeah,
like, not quite good
unlucky,
enough.
bro.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
You're good for 2 days.
And I hope
Go.
Guard get a new book in 11th.
I actually want them to get a new book really soon, so that they can't Vengeance Arcadia anymore.
I think even with it. It's- What are they gonna reroll against your illusionary unit? And in Iron Warriors,
No.
you spend a CP and you just
Oh.
let them do it.
That
You're like, yeah, go ahead.
That Terminator unit is invincible.
Against guard?
Yeah. Just,
Yeah, sure is.
Just nothing.
Silver linings. If they were shooting you with normal Lehman Russes, the supplication doesn't do anything.
They're so bad. Illusionary Supplication can't hurt
I
you.
was like, what?
Mana Course? Psh.
Nothing.
Like you
Easy.
got nothing.
That's right.
Yeah, that's how you get max efficiency.
Efficiency.
I suck so bad you can't get buffs against
I'll
me.
make my own units terrible. You can't hurt me.
Oh, poor guys.
It's the Death Guard special.
We didn't talk about the Cultist command unit. This is
I'm entirely honest. I looked at it. It was like 5 data sheets in a trench coat, and I was like, wow, that does all the chaos stuff. Anyway, and then I went to the next page because I have limited slots in my battalion, and I'm busy.
actually they're so close to being amazing.
Really?
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, well, so what's cool is you get a prayer and you get a spell. And in a lot of CSM lists, like Violence over here was saying, right, like, it's your characters beating things, which means your HQ slots are taken up by characters beating things. You don't got time for a priest and a sorcerer. And that seems really cool until you realize they are restricted on the prayers and the spells they can take.
Oh, that super sucks.
It made me flash.
And it is not the restrictions you wanted to see.
Is it the first 3?
Yeah, they get the first 3.
Oh, you know what's a real shame about that? Illusionary is the 6th one.
Yeah, they I don't think they did it on purpose. They were like, this is farthest from.
Yeah. It's like not even.
You cannot have
Don't
this.
even consider
You're not
it.
allowed to look at this.
Yeah.
But I think if you're just looking for, I want to cast one spell, and it's a spell that you actually want, and you want to have full rerolls to hit in close combat, like, there's some space there.
Let me hazard a guess. Warp time is not spell 1, 2, or 3.
No, it is not. No, they do get the
Well, they don't get marked.
yeah. So you don't get your you don't get the Slanesh thing.
Oh no, they're character. Core character, right?
Can Cultists get, I thought there was a caveat. I would find that out. If you could mark them and they can cast the Slanesh spell, suddenly we're talking.
And the Slanesh chant. If they could be your little bots
Oh.
for 5 feel no pain and damage.
Yeah, if they can do both of those,
That would literally be a plug.
we have an interest. Nope. Want
Big
want
sad.
want.
You can use them to buff your obliterators.
That's so. Come on, bro. Please.
You can't see the obliterators. They come in from deep strike.
Yeah, that's right.
He's after that.
They don't have a prayer. It's written right in the rules.
You can put them. Well, you can't prey on them anyway, because.
Everybody prays on obliterators.
Not melee though.
No. Please don't charge them. Just let them shoot you. No
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah, it won't even hurt.
I'm sure the obliterators in their split profile would feel good shooting elves.
I think that's true. But what if it was 8 Terminators instead?
What if it was almost anything else? What if it was like 20 Legionnaires?
Oh man, 20 Legionnaires probably would have given me that game.
You would have been in way better shape. That's for sure.
I could screen you so many times.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been thrown. I would kill those dudes all day. I love nothing more than mulching hordes.
All right. So we've been through the units. We've talked through most of our sub-factions, our secondaries. We got anything else we need to cover before we call this?
Not that I can think of. I think, I think we did pretty good.
All right.
Good job.
That's Chaos Space Marines. Oh, no, we do have one more thing to cover. Abaddon has one more rule. He's an agent of chaos.
Oh yeah. Plug them in everywhere.
There are 3 places, well, there's 4, 3 real ones, that he wants to be put into. So, first up, Thousand Sons.
Yeah, so Thousand Sons, one of their problems is that they don't actually have little pieces that punch really hard. So that helps. Unfortunately, I think the problem with Thousand Sons in him is you only get 1 Agent of Chaos, right? So that would mean no Helverins. And after playing the Thousand Sons with Helverins, yeah.
I think if I was writing a Thousand Sons list right now, I definitely wouldn't take Helverins. They're too CP expensive.
We're finding that because we're generating 3 a turn with no problem, that doesn't turn out to be the case. You start low, but you pass your opponent, and it's fine. In particular, most matchups, the only strat we want to activate is -1 damage on the Terminators, which is just your 3. So it's kind of fine. But yeah, it goes either way. But because he takes the Hellruns away, and also I think he's 300 points, and Thousand Suns are pretty tight. But that also leaves us with Death Guard. You want to talk a little bit?
I can talk about it a little bit. So I think he's pretty good in Death Guard. I think he gives you a reliable chapter master that the book doesn't otherwise have because Mortarion is terrible and no one should play him. So
I think you should model him up as like a really tiny Mortarion.
no, you should just use pre-heresy. Mortarion.
yeah,
You would have a little dude with a scythe. So yeah, so like. Yeah, it's definitely better than Mortarion, that's for sure. The problem is Death Guard have a bunch of really good relics, and they have a Warlord trait that's mandatory. So you get into awkward positions there.
But I don't know if the Warlord trait is mandatory anymore because you can't charge the. Oh, you're talking about Arch Contaminator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The relic
That
is...
and then also the relic.
The relic is amazing.
Yeah.
Rats, that's a problem.
But then that's it, right?
But
Just you start with 4.
The 2 best parts of the army.
But it would give Death Guard players the one thing they've always wanted, which is any means to advance in charge. Not with Death Guard, but Abaddon could, right? He gets the Black Legion strats, can make himself Red Corsairs. Right. I'm just saying. I was kind of making a joke, but yes.
Actually, I think that's important is he gives +1 to the charge.
Right.
And so if you're talking about Plague Marine units that are all tooled up with all the gear, jumping out of rhinos and charging at people, Abaddon's right up in that, and he's quite happy to be character blocked by Death Guard rhinos and
Stuff.
Impossible to kill little Death Guard units, right? Like, I think he exists very happily in what Death Guard want to do, and he accentuates them. So I think that's a great space for him. Let's talk about the dud, because Chaos Demons are just sad.
Yep.
There's not anything really there, because he benefits core, which they don't even have.
Right.
So there's nothing there. But there is one more place you can put him that has a lot of core.
Chaos Knights. So the best way to play Chaos Knights right now already is the Oopsal War Dog build. All of those boys have core. It's really easy to pull 2 War Dogs out and put an Abaddon in. He's probably better than the equivalency in points. He exists in a weird space in that army, that's all. He helps a lot. Like, he has auras that are better than most of what you can get in Chaos. He just, like, you start with 3 CP, which is not terrible. And you can kind of make it work from there. He's definitely good. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, that build's really powerful. In my opinion, that's the best soup to Abaddon. Death Guard's pretty good. Thousand Sun seems fine, but, like, the Chaos Knight one is where it's at.
Particularly with Chaos Knights, getting rerolls to 1 to hit on all their stuff.
Yeah, both sides.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I think it's also really interesting is Chaos Knights tend to shorten the game one way or the other.
Yep.
And Abaddon being phase locked in a game that gets shortened is likely to benefit you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they don't have time to deal with him. They can't figure out some Rube Goldberg device to get rid of him. They have to deal with all these Chaos Knights right now. So he gets to be like really brazen in the middle of all that.
They do tend to explode, though, which makes him not super thrilled.
And it turns out he's within 6 inches.
Yeah, he's not super happy when he takes damage like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just a thing to be
But,
careful
and
of.
then he also, because he's Agent of Chaos, he's not interrupting their dread,
Yep.
which, another benefit for sure.
Yep, he's really good.
Yeah. So I think you're going to see him a lot. If you don't have one, run out and buy him now because he's going to disappear.
He probably already has.
I looked Wednesday, I think it was, and he was still in the GW cart. So
Someone get on it.
yeah, buy that out. And we'll accept checks, GW, whenever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Chaos. The Chaos Space Marines have hit. They're amazing. I think all 3 of us are incredibly excited. We just don't know which way to run into. But there's a lot of different builds to be done. You'll see them. You'll be seeing them at tournaments from us. And
I'll be around. I'm going to start doing RTTs again because I just want to play them
Just-
as much
yeah.
as physically possible.
very excited, put them on
Yeah.
the table.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's get it done. Let the galaxy burn.